bird species, grassland birds were in the highest decline. And Audubon's mission is protecting birds and the places they live. So they said, okay, the number one group that is in decline is grassland birds. And so how do we save not only grassland birds, but also the places they live, grasslands or rangelands? This started on the Great Plains and has slowly made its way west and began in California in 2019. I don't need to tell you this, but obviously major threats to grassland birds. Number one is going to be development, both urbanization and crop expansion, along with some of the changes in the climate over the last, since the Industrial Revolution, I guess. So Audubon Conservation Ranching is a certification program. So we're a habitat certification for ranches. And that's the basis from which kind of everything else grows. We do a lot more than that, but we're a habitat certification. We partner with the ranches to create healthy and biodiverse ecosystems and wildlife habitat. So obviously we focus on birds because we are Audubon, but we recognize the best bird habitat is the best ecosystem and wildlife habitat in general. We want healthy grasses, healthy trees, healthy soils, healthy riparian areas, etc. So right here is the seal. So the certification is a land certification, but when ranches enroll with the ACR, Audubon Conservation Ranching, when they enroll with us, they get certified by a third party, and then they can put this seal on their meat. So it's a land verification, habitat verification, but then eventually the goal is, and this is already happening in the Midwest, and it's coming soon to California, where you'll start seeing this type of seal in grocery stores, similar to, although probably on a different level, of like how you see the organic symbol, you know, this is what is behind organic. And so these are kind of how the program works. So when a ranch enrolls, either myself as a rangeland ecologist or an RCD usually will write a habitat management plan for the ranch. And so this entails several different aspects, which I'll go over the next slide, but that's kind of the bread and butter of one of the things that we provide to the ranch. Once that's done, there'll be a third-party certification by Food Alliance. So it'll come out, do the auditing. Every 3 years they do in-person, and then every year it's that is not in-person, is just a desk audit. And then when you're in our program as well, Point Blue will do the RMN monitoring. So they'll monitor soil, vegetation, and birds. So you'll have all that data, and Audubon actually pays for that. So that's kind of something a little bit unique about our certification program, is the actual certification and the monitoring, we cover all the fees for that. And then a huge part of our program is connecting ranchers to their local community, and that's why I love to come to things like these and connect with RCDs, connect with NRCS, UC, all the partners, because I cover the northern half of California, right? So we have a ranch that's enrolling in Siskiyou County, and that's like 6 hours for me, you know? So I don't know the area that well. I'm only gonna be able to go see the rancher every so often, and that goes for every county. And so if they're not already connected with the people in their area, the partners that are technical assistance providers, even we like to connect them with different restaurants and chefs. Like we have a chef in Sacramento we work really closely with who uses meat from some of our ranches. But the community aspect of full sustainability, not just on the ranch, but throughout, is a huge thing for us as well. So we have a full-time outreach manager that's her full-time job. So within the habitat management plan and just the program in general, it is a habitat certification, but we look at habitat, animal health and welfare, and environmental sustainability. So when you'll see that seal in a grocery store, at a farmer's market, or online, it's not just, oh, birds like to live here. It's this ranch followed protocols that entailed animal health and welfare, environmental sustainability, and obviously the habitat management aspect. Yep, so I just said the bread and butter, apart from the seal, is the habitat management plan. And in those, we go through what is the historical and ecological background of the property, and then we select some priority bird species of either these are some species that you have, that's awesome that you have those, kudos, or hey, we want to see some more of these species because more of these species shows that your environment is becoming more biodiverse, or you're having more certain grass species, your grazing management is improving to where you have a array. Birds are really good indicator species, and so even though we do the monitoring, without necessarily needing to monitor 24/7, the presence of certain birds shows kind of how well you're managing your range from a grazing perspective and habitat management perspective. And then we work with the rancher. Hey, what are your goals long term? What are your goals short term? Ecologically, even financially, market wise. What are your goals and how can we partner with you to help you achieve those goals? And that's where our relationship with y'all come in tremendously because you know the area, you know the markets, you have educational opportunities, you have workshops, you have restoration type things that we can work with to create a community that will keep ranchers ranching. My boss always says that. We want to keep ranchers ranching because if we care about birds, if we care about wildlife, if we care about ecosystem health, climate health, a mediocrely managed rangeland is better for the environment than concrete, right? And so we want to keep ranchers ranching and in that educate them throughout. Yeah. So this map isn't totally up to date, but we have about 27 enrolled ranches in California at almost 200,000 acres. Nationwide, we're at over 3 million acres. Like I said, started in the Great Plains and now it's in every state west of the Mississippi. But yeah, we're continually getting more ranches, continually trying to educate. We kind of thought, I've only been in this role since November, but from what my peers have told me, we thought originally when it came to California in 2019, it was going to be a constant, almost like salesy type thing, get people involved, but we actually have people coming to us saying, hey, we heard about your program, or we know what Audubon is, and we really want to get involved. And so at events like these, I just like to spread the word, and so if you know of any ranchers in your area, like, hey, they're very conservation minded, they're very wildlife minded, or they already probably follow a lot of these protocols, because if a rancher is conservation minded, they probably already fit almost everything they need to do, and then it's a really easy, just added certification that boosts their resume, I guess. Let's see. Yeah, let me think. Oh, one thing I did want to say is we just finalized this. We've been working on it for a while, but Keystone Ranch is in our program, and they're on the west side of the Sutter Buttes. And we've been working with them for a while, but we are doing with them a process-based restoration project with beaver dam analogs, which has been super cool. It's my first time with beaver dam analogs, and it has been super cool to see the instant changes and then how that's going to become long-term changes in the riparian areas on their ranch. And I should have included the picture, but I don't have it. They started a couple weeks ago, but they're hosting a work day on April 29th. I think it's from like 9 to 4, and they are hopefully going to release more information by the end of the week. But if you are at all interested, they're opening up to all technical assistance providers, ranchers, anyone who wants to educate but also help. Let me know and I can get you more information on that. I don't think it's on our website or anything yet, but it will be hopefully by the end of the week. Any questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you do your measurements for the RDM, what are you looking for?
Yeah, so the monitoring is the RMN, so Rangeland Monitoring Network through Point Blue. And so our big thing is we want, I said it a lot, but biodiversity, right? So some birds like shortgrass, some like medium grass, and some like tall grass, based on nesting, based on hunting, whether they can see rodents, what can hide, how can they get away from predators, etc. So many different things. And so we want a mosaic of habitat. So that's why one of our key things is rotational grazing, because then you are always having certain paddocks that are of different levels. So birds can kind of pick and choose what they
So you're not just actually cutting away in grass or anything, they're just measuring length and that kind of.
Yeah, and a lot of it is species, like for the vegetation monitoring, a lot of it is what species do you have, and, yeah. Yeah,
Could you talk a little bit about the market component? Like if
Yeah.
a producer gets this certification, like are they able to charge higher prices for their meat? And do you
Yeah.
have any like data on that?
yeah, so that was the original intent, and so like I said, it started in the Great Plains, and so that was the original intent, and in the Great Plains, it's a lot easier, we're a grass-fed, grass-finished program, but even there, it's a lot easier to go, from a cow-calf operation all the way to grass-finished beef, because, basically rainfall, and so, it's easy for them to go direct to consumer sales, which means they can put that seal on there, which is why they have grocery stores and restaurants and everything with the seal in the Great Plains and the Midwest. In California, because of our climate, it's a lot harder for a producer to have a fully integrated farm or ranch basically. So a lot of them are cow-calf producers that will sell their calves and then they'll go on a truck to the feedlot in Nebraska or Colorado. Or it will change hands multiple times, but in order for them to put the seal on the actual meat, that animal had to be on their land that is certified for the last 6 months of their life. So that is a challenge that California presents for us. However, we have, I mean, honestly, probably 3 to 5 out of the 20-something ranches do direct to consumer that are in our program. So that makes it a little bit more difficult. And yeah, a lot of them advertise like the seal on their website and stuff. But for California, about the market incentives and the premium, the original intent, from my understanding, I've only been here for 4 months, but the original intent was, oh, cool, let's get them a market incentive. There has been no data to back that up though. So now I don't use that as like a incentive to get people to join, because one, most ranchers in California don't even sell direct to consumer anyway, so they couldn't use that side of it for financial gain. But two, there hasn't really been evidence to back it up, and who knows, maybe in 10 years if we're at 3 million acres, maybe we'll be at 30 million acres, and it'll be such a big thing that it will be recognized, but no one, if you saw it in a grocery store, you wouldn't even know what it meant right now, you know? So hopefully one day, but not right now. Yeah. Yeah.
So you mentioned that in the Midwest they do grass-fed, grass-finished, and then you talked about in California how they send them off to a feedlot, so to speak.
Yeah, it's harder to do. You can do
Okay.
grass finished here, but it's just more difficult.
Are there folks doing it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like Stemple Creek is a pretty famous one in Marin County, and they're a part of our program as well, and they sell grass finished beef for definitely a premium, but they were selling it for a premium before they got certified by us. So there definitely are people that do grass fed, grass finished in California, because we're in a Mediterranean climate, it's a lot more difficult, but definitely possible. So it's not out of the picture, it's just the percentage of producers that do it is lower than somewhere that gets more rainfall. Yeah.
So do you charge for this program?
No, yeah, so that's another thing. So yeah, even though there is no market incentive, we cover all the costs for the certification, writing of the HMP, whether it's us or the RCD that write it, and then all the point blue monitoring. And so the only costs that could be associated with it are restoration projects, but even that, we have some funding set aside to pay for some restoration projects through the RCD. And then that's why these networks are so important, because we also are constantly like, hey, my rancher wants pollinator habitat, because that's a big part of our program too. Okay, let me partner you with Xerxes, or let me find someone who will have funding for you, and then maybe we could be the other half of the cost share or whatever.
So then how are you guys funded?
Wildlife, like WCB is a Wildlife Conservation Board grant. We have a big grant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So Audubon's a nonprofit.
Right, okay.
Yeah. I'm still learning about all the grant stuff.
No.
I'm not from that background. Any other questions?
I have one question. So how secure is the funding opportunity? Like, is it something we're gonna push a bunch of growers to and then you're gonna be like, sorry, I don't have
Yeah.
the money or no future?
Yeah, so for the restoration projects?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
implementation side of it.
Yeah. So within the habitat management plan, we kind of do a bunch of like management goals that we co-write with the ranchers. So we're very realistic about these are things that you want to get done in 1 year, 3 years, 10 years. So within our WCB grant, which is through 2027, we have 5 $20,000 restoration projects that we have funding for, and we have done 2 of them. And so we have 3 left, however, we have 20 ranches, right? So not all the ranchers get a restoration project that we pay for. Once that we get another grant, to my understanding, once we get another grant after 2027, a lot of our funding right now has been for getting new ranchers on board, like monitoring, writing of HMP, auditing, but we want to shift a lot of the funding to restoration projects after that. So right now, a lot of what we do for restoration projects is partnering them with funding sources that can and getting them exposed to different grants. And so that's one of the things that my director has talked about a lot is the next round getting more restoration projects. But yeah, honestly, it's an unknown. And I don't know, I think that's above my pay grade of like, how do we decide which 3 ranchers remain in the next 3 years of who's gonna get the small pot of funding we do have. But overall, how can we support them in the local community? And because it's not like on the HMP, we're like, hey, by the way, in order to stay in our program, you have to put in $100,000 of fencing or else you're out, you know. We're very realistic about that kind of stuff,
So what is the main incentive for a grower to get in your program? And if you had to sum it up in one
Yeah.
sentence, like what would you say?
Yeah, that was a question I asked a lot of the producers when I got on board, because I'm like, hey, why did you join this program? And it varies, but a lot of them either already have a lot of the habitat and grazing management stuff figured out, and they want another level. And like the one in Siskiyou County, they already sell their cattle at a premium because of how they already won national conservation awards. They work with wolves, they work with water and water management stuff, but the missing component is avian management. And so I would say you don't have to be a diehard birder, but a lot of them do get into it because they care about wildlife and they care about birds. And so if you're doing it for a market premium, I would say don't do it. Like I said, there is not a market premium, but it is free, but you still have to want it because it's work, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why I don't super like try to push it. It's more like, this is what it is, and if you want it, that's awesome. I think we provide a lot of things that can help support you in the community aspect. But yeah, I think you definitely need to want it, yeah. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
My question on the folks that are able to do the grass finishing in California, are they irrigated then? Is that?
Some, yeah. Either they'll go to the high Sierras or super northern California, or irrigated, yeah. Or they'll be like in Marin County where pretty
Just
much,
stays cool.
yeah. Cool. All right, thank you. Yeah, you can come talk to me after if you are interested in that work day on April 29th, or if you have any other questions.
Well, thank you for everybody who has stayed around. I'm just going to talk about a couple things that are open for the farmers and ranchers in our area. And so, right now we currently have open seats for bees, or it's gonna open April 1st for any of those that you have doing cover cropping and needing seeds. And we also have Zero Footprint is going to have another open application about mid-July. And currently we have also the Farm Bureau has a mentorship program, and that is where you take a new farmer and you pair them with a farmer of 10 years of experience or more. And the farmer that has the experience can get $50 up to 6 hours of their time paid for to help, educate the new farmer. So, all of those are the only ones that, CUSP is also open for like, drought and flood damage for the farmers. And that is closing on March 31st. And, I have, I believe, all but the CUSP on my website, but our websites are going through a transition period, so I believe you can still access it, it's just bear with us for a little while. And then something that I've also added to the website is I've added a UCCE Climate Smart Sutter-Yuba Facebook page. So I can put all of this out there for the farmers for trainings, workshops, grants, closing application, open application, what it entails. So if anybody wants to like my page, that would be awesome. I'm trying to grow it. And we already heard about CDFA and the programs there. So with that, does anybody have any questions? Okay, well, I am glad that you guys came. We're supposed to break and have another little mingling time. I know there's not very many that are still here. And do you guys wanna do that still? You wanna do it for like 10, 15 minutes, or it's kind of up to you guys?
Whatever, wrap up and just do that, like, on our way out.
Yeah.
Okay, we can do that. So, I also wanted to talk about, I wanted to talk about my, this year I've been able to, partner with the Sutter County RCD, and we went to the Sikh temple. And then I also was able to go with the, Matt, from the Ag Commissioner in Yuba County. He invited me to the Spray Safe event, and Andrea went with me, and we had a good time going to that. And then also I was able to help with the planning, the steering committee with the Small Farms Committee. And then I was also on another committee for doing an in-person gathering in our area for the small farms, and we had that at Chico State. And that turned out, it was a really great event. We ended up, it was, CAF and the, Chico State Regenerative Ag Department that we partnered with to do that. And that was, the event was great. It was our first Friday that it was nice and sunny, so like we had a lot of RSVPs, but we had probably half show, but the event was still good. And the folks that showed up were very, into it, asked great questions, so it was a great crowd. And then I planned this event. This was a little different than our first one that we had, which was just a round table, and we just kind of all just went around and talked kind of like we presented. But because we had so many different folks this time, I thought this was the best way to go. Is there anybody that you would like to see at our next one? We like to do one in the fall and one in the spring. Maybe you can think about that. If you want to email me, if you can think of somebody.
The one I would say, just with all the forest work going on, usually CAL FIRE has somebody on budget management or something like that, if you have connections. Or if you need someone, I might be able to share.
Sounds great. Yes. And then, is there a time in the fall that would work best? Like we're thinking of a month for our next fall one. We asked last time and they said March. March is great, but oh my gosh, March kind of blew up, didn't it?
Yeah.
So, last time we did it in October. So I don't know, anybody remember October, November?
Fiscal year deadline stuff, is usually hard for federal employees.
Okay, so
Just-
when is that?
So that's September 30th, I mean, you want a slow month, October actually works.
October? Okay, we can keep it in October if nobody objects. Okay,
Sounds real
are there folks that showed up late that we didn't get a picture of, like Hope, Peyton?
I don't know, being a
Oh,
picture.
come on, we had a big group picture. We can have the three of you.
Floating head in there.
Okay, if you don't wanna be in it.
Well, maybe a round of applause for Heather for
Yes.
And if anybody, has any, I didn't do a survey, kinda ran out of time. But, if anybody has any suggestions, go ahead and send me an email. And, I will shoot an email of everybody's email addresses so that everybody has it, of those who attended. And, we can go ahead and break, and then you guys have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.